Based on feedback from students and educators, classes and assignments is a powerful Onshape feature designed to streamline using Onshape in your classroom. Let's quickly take a look at 3 of the first actions you'll take when using classes and assignments: creating a class, adding members, and creating assignments. As you can see, I'm logged in to my free educator plan, and on the left, I can see the classes in the menu. Let's create a new class. In Onshape, just like how you create a new document, you click the blue Create button and select Class. When creating a new class, you simply need to give the class a name. Let's call it CAD 301, and optionally, I can write a short text description, and notice I'll also be adding that class to my classroom. I'll click Create, and I'll notice that the class is empty. There are no assignments, and the only member is me. Let's add some members first. There are 2 ways to add members to my class. I can click the Invite Users button and add them one at a time. I can paste a couple emails into this box. I'll go ahead and add Zoe and Igor here, and that's one way to add students is by adding them one at a time in this box. I can then select, do I want them to be students or educators? Click Invite, and you can see they're now added to the class. If I've got a lot of students in my class, perhaps a quicker way to do that is via CSV. I can click the Manage via CSV button and download the template. The template just allows me to add email addresses and also whether I want them to be students or educators. Once I'm done with the template, I'll select that file to upload. I've just selected the import classroom members.csv file that I had just created, and I'm going to process the upload. You'll see it just takes a second, and all those students are added to the class. Now I can see all the members in my class. Students that already have Onshape accounts, you'll see that their name and their icon show up. You can see there's a student at the top. That student doesn't have an Onshape account yet, but they have just received an email letting them know they've been invited to my class. They'll click a link in the email and they can quickly create their Onshape account. Great, now that I've added members, let's create our first assignment. If I go over to the Assignments tab, I'll see it's currently empty. Let's quickly create an assignment, and now I've got my class ready to go. I'm gonna first create an assignment. Let's just call it Lesson 1. And again, I can add some text instructions and click Create. Now, I've just created my first assignment. Well, I will create my first assignment once I hit apply. Quickly, it's important to note there are 3 submission options when creating assignments in Onshape. Submission option number 1, students begin with a new document. So as soon as a student begins this assignment, they will start with a fresh, clean slate. That's great for students, for assignments where I want there to be relatively open-ended. Submission option number 2, students begin with a copy of a selected document. This is great because you might know in Onshape you can upload just about any type of media to a document. This is a great way to scaffold assignments. So for this assignment, I might select a starter doc that I've created, and I've added some drawings and some instructions to this pipe flange document. Now when students click Start Assignment, a copy of this pipe flange document will be created, and then they've got something to already work on. What I've just added to this document is just some drawings. Submission option number 3 is students can choose what to submit. This is great for long-term assignments where I might want students to submit the same document maybe 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And so when they log in Onshape and go to their class, they'll see there's maybe a week 5 check-in assignment. When they go to start that assignment, the first thing Onshape will do is ask them to attach an existing document. And then when they're ready, they'll hit submit, and that will create a version, a snapshot in time, and they can actually keep working on the document, which I think is really cool. And then I can see exactly where they were when they hit submit, and there'll be a time stamp for that submission, even though they can continue to work. So I'm going to leave it as submission option 2 and hit apply. Now I can't yet hit publish yet because I haven't published the class. So right now it's important to note that I'm kind of setting up my class. This might be the beginning of the semester. No student has received an email yet that they have an assignment because they're not even in a class yet. As soon as I hit publish class, that actually creates the class. Students will now get an email that they've been invited to the class. And once I publish the assignment, that will actually send the email letting students know they've got some work to do. And I can see the progress in here. No one's started yet. But once I see them start, I'll actually see that activity there. So briefly, that is some of the first things you'll do when you're using class assignments, creating a class, adding members, and creating assignments.